Hey, so this is the second video for the 100K subscriber challenge that I kind of presented myself that I'm doing with ChatGPT. It's interesting because after starting the initial conversation with ChatGPT about wanting to achieve this goal, it started asking for lots of different things from me, right? So something I'm learning as I'm working with this software, because it's really what it is that we really have to prompt it very well. We have to tell it what we need and what we want or what it needs to ask us. So I started asking it a little bit more about like what else do you need from me? What else do you need from me? So if you recall, I had already uploaded like my brand information. I had created a specific chat bot in ChatGPT specifically for this goal of growing my social media and the YouTube channel. So it had all of that, right? But it didn't really know much about my YouTube channel itself. So it started asking me for the analytics. And I talked a little bit about this, like that's kind of where I left off in the last video, where it was asking for some of that information. And it wanted to kind of see like what was doing well, wasn't doing well, what were my thumbnails looking like, lots of different stuff. So it was really, really interesting. So it wanted some screenshots. It wanted a lot of different aspects of data. And I kept asking it also, asking me for more types of data. What more data do you need? So I kept asking it, right? Like what other data can help you? What other information can help you to get a better idea of what's going on? And so from the data that I provided in the screenshots and the uploads that I did, it was able to get a much clearer vision and idea for how I can grow my channel. It was really cool too because it helped me understand the analytics a lot. Like I'm not a YouTube pro at all. Marketing is not my strong suit. I am the type of coaching that I do is I help women create their signature offers and build out the back end of their businesses. And I'm really, really good at that. But what I'm not great at is the actual marketing side of things. Like we all have our skill sets, right? And that's just not one of them. And so I'm asking Chat GPT to help me like understand, right? Like what do these analytics mean? And so it was showing me like with the graph, where the different views were coming from and like where my traffic was coming from. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot that my videos are actually getting recommended a lot. That's like the best way that I'm getting seen is that they're being recommended. And it was because I'm posting and uploading videos a lot. Okay. Like I never run out of content ideas. I'm a channel. I'm a teacher. Like I love sharing information and knowledge. So it's not something I run out of. And so I've been like pumping out content. And so it's been putting it in front of potential audiences. And it was showing that in these analytics that because I'm creating so much content, it is recommending that a lot. And that's where I'm getting the majority of my views from. It's not from current subscribers, it's not from people searching for the topics, it's from the videos being recommended. And so I found that really interesting because I had just finished taking a like a 4-day boot camp class from an influencer, a YouTube influencer. And it was interesting because what this person was teaching, it was all about like have really catchy thumbnails, have really great titles, go search what's doing really well in your niche and like kind of reverse engineer what they already did. So not to recreate the wheel, but go find what's working and then kind of make it your own. And I found all that, I was like, okay, this is interesting. That's challenging for me because I am a creator, right? So it's like we don't want to be going and like copying what everyone else is doing. We want to create, we want to be in our space and we want to share our knowledge and be appreciated for that knowledge, right? So it's like going and like playing this game, it just felt very masculine to me. And it was a masculine person teaching this. And so I was like, gosh, this just does not feel aligned in my body. Like, this is not my way of wanting to make this happen. And so what was interesting is what I'm being taught in this class, in this very masculine energy, in this way that worked for this person, that's not what was working for my channel. That this person didn't say anything about making sure that in the beginning, to build momentum, that we've got to be turning out a lot of content and like putting out a lot of videos. They were actually teaching the opposite. And it was about quality over quantity. And it was pretty much making it sound like we have to learn how to record these like professional videos that have all this editing and all this stuff. So it keeps people's attention and it does this and it's got the hook and it's got all these things. And I'm like, what the F, right? Like, that feels exhausting. Like, let's be real. As female creatrixes, I use that term instead of being creators, like online creators, we're creatrixes, right? Like, we don't really want to play that game. We don't really want to have to show up in this aspect of like, okay, let me spend a whole week of time to make one video that has, the special effects, and it has these little cameo pieces, and it has this, and like, I mean, the editing, like, to do that in and of itself is a full-time job. I mean, I've been trying to do it, and like, this is not working because I already have a business, right? Like, how can I run a business and have this other like full-time job and be a single parent? Like, it's just like, this is not working for me. So trying to figure out a way that is going to work with my feminine energy, that is going to feel honest and aligned with me and my brand and with the way that I want to be showing up. I kind of felt like I was going back to the drawing board. All right. So that's why I decided to do this with ChatGPT. And I was like, like, help me figure this out, because it's too hard to do it on our own. Right. Like, we as women, I feel like, feel that we have to do everything on our own, that it's either not safe to have help or that people aren't qualified enough to help us. And with the emergence of these softwares, everybody wants to like jazz it up and be like, currently, like, ChatGPT really isn't like artificial intelligence. It's a software, and it's very high programmed software, but it's still software. We actually don't really have like real AI that can think for itself yet, but that's coming. I have like, as an intuitive, as a psychic, I can see that being here within the next 3 to 5 years, to be honest. So, having access to this, like, it can really help us. And so I'm looking at this from the aspect of, okay, this is like my social media manager, and I have to train it, I have to teach it, and it's going to support and help me in this goal that I have. But I really need to make sure that I'm doing it in an aligned way. And so it was very interesting to me to kind of spend these hours in this boot camp learning these things, talking about, like, you have to have these really flashy, catchy thumbnails, and you have to do this, and you have to do this. And as I was giving ChatGPT my analytics and we were kind of going back and forth, I was asking it about the thumbnails. And I have a unique brand. I love doing graphics. I create very ethereal, very like bespoke imagery and graphics for myself, and I have done it for clients as well. And that's me. That's my brand. I'm not this with like big letter. Like, this doesn't feel aligned. And I've done that because that's what everybody's been teaching. Like, hey, do a wild face and, pointing at stuff and have big letters and really got to like stand out. And I was asking it, I showed it. I uploaded some of the graphics that I've made. And I asked it, I said, what do you think about these graphics for me to use stuff like that as thumbnails? Because I feel like it would actually set me apart and I would stand out more because it wouldn't be like these other ones that everyone else is doing. And it agreed. It was saying the same thing. It was like, yes, because so many people are now doing these types of thumbnails, this imagery would stand out. right? It would stand out more because, we're going to look at this list of everybody, ooh, like making all these faces with all the big words. And then I have this beautiful imagery that feels very ethereal, very magical, very bespoke, coming up with, select few words right on it that are clear to say, like, hey, this is what this video is about. To me, that makes more sense that for my target audience, for the women that are in a spiritual space who are wanting to grow and develop and heal and contribute and find their soul's purpose, like that's going to be attractive to them, right? It's not going to attract men. I don't work with men. I can if a man wants to learn how to operate their business in a feminine way because they want to work with women. I can absolutely do that. I have done that in the past. Actually, I've had one male client that I helped him with that. But that's not my target audience, right? So having those kinds of images, that imagery is going to stop the right person there and be, oh, what is that? Right? It's beautiful. I feel a connection to this. Like, who is this person? What are they about? What are they doing? Right? So it was like these teachings that I was getting from masculine leaders. And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that, but like what works for men and what attracts men is different than what works for women and attracts women. And I feel like this is where we get muddled and things get messed up. It's like we try to operate our businesses as women in masculine ways. And it feels incredibly out of alignment in our bodies. And so it makes it hard for us to show up because we don't feel excited about it. But it also makes us feel like dishonest and unethical. So then we're like, eek, it's not really feeling like it's integrity in my body. Like, and that perpetuates the imposter syndrome. It perpetuates the witch wound energy of I'm going to say the wrong thing because I feel like an imposter and I'm going to be persecuted for it. So it just doesn't work for us as women. And so it's like we have to find this new path and this new avenue for us to take when it comes to visibility, because we're not going to find that things that are working for men are going to work for us. It's going to cause us to burn out. It really is. It's going to cause us to burn out. And I'm seeing this more and more like in the coaching industry. Like people are less interested in that flashy, like, grab this funnel and inject it into your business. And, it's the same funnel that made me millions of dollars in 2 days. You know what I mean? Or like these like big flashy statements that are they're just BS, right? I mean, they're just crap because people don't have the right systems in place to be able to put that funnel in their business for it to work. They don't have the audience. They don't have the ad budget. Like it's just crap. Like it's bullshit. It's lies. And it's frustrating to see that in the industry, but that is what the masculine is teaching in the sales section of this. And it's just gross. It's like flashy and do this and do that. And it's like businesses don't grow overnight. It's not a get rich quick scheme, right? It's a business and we have to build things out. We have to invest in it. I mean, we cannot run a business for free. We just can't. And if we're trying to run it for free, then we have a hobby. You know what I mean? Like it's not a business. It's not going to pay us like a business. So there are certain aspects of things that we have to really learn and understand when it comes to creating a business. And they are going to be different for women than they are for men. I've seen this, even women who become very successful in their businesses because they have followed the teachings of a masculine, they burn out within a few years and they hate their business. Like they effing hate it. And they don't want to be a part of it. They're like, I just don't even want to do this anymore. I hate this so much because they've been operating in a space that is just completely out of alignment with who they are. And they were taught to market things in a way that didn't fit with them and to promote things that they really weren't passionate about. I mean, for heaven's sake, on this boot camp, they had a guest who was teaching about creating offers so people can monetize their channels. And I was like, honestly, I was like horrified at what he was teaching, because it was all flash and pizzazz. And it was like, you can make an offer and a program in a weekend and just do this and then put this together and then put it in a spreadsheet and sell it. And I was like, oh my God, like what? Like what? And here I am, someone who helps people do this too. And like, we don't do it in a weekend. Like if we're going to channel and create something that is meant to deeply impact people, like that, we're looking at least 2 weeks, to put this together and build it out. Minimum. And it was just so gross to me. Like, this is like, what am I watching right now? I was seriously just in shock. I was like, this is mind blowing. It was mind blowing to me. This is what was going on. I was like, wow. So again, it's like very different energies from if we're just looking at something from the aspect of, well, I want to figure out how to monetize this versus I want to make a contribution to the collective. And I genuinely want to help people. Okay. So I feel like this is that, do I want to just make money, or do I want to nurture and cultivate and create and be the nourishment for other people? Like, these are very different energies. So, talking with ChatGPT and going back and forth in that aspect, it was just very eye-opening to me to see like what was really going on my channel and what other people are teaching, and how often, people promise that they've got some magical solution, right? But they don't. That just is what worked for them. It doesn't mean that it's duplicatable. And so when they try to put it out there and say, hey, now I'm going to sell you this and I'm going to teach you how to do what I did, like, we can't duplicate ourselves. Like, people are successful for multiple reasons. It's not just figuring out how to do a great thumbnail and title. It's about the content. It's about someone's knowledge. It's about someone's energy. It's about someone's charisma. It's about like how they communicate, how they teach. Like, to make a promise like that, to just like, hey, well, I'll help you do this, when we know that there's a lot more to it. It's just, this is the stuff that I'm like on a tangent on a soapbox today in this video, but it just was so eye-opening to me. It really, really was. It was just so eye-opening to me to recognize and see this. So this is something that I talk to my clients about a lot too, is like, we have to really prioritize trusting our own intuition, our own instinct, our own guidance. And if we see like all these other people are doing this, and just because it's working for them, it doesn't mean that that's what we should be doing. Because if we're getting other guidance, we need to trust that, and we need to do what that guidance is telling us to do. And that is something that I always honor with my clients. If I give them a recommendation and they say, well, I don't feel that that's right for me, I was thinking to do it like this, then it's my job to figure out, how do I help them implement this in this way that feels aligned with them, right? Instead of just being like, no, ignore your intuition, self-abandon, and just do what I say, right? Like, no, this is again that toxic masculinity. And we've got to be like moving out of that space. It's just not working anymore. So once I had these analytics from ChatGPT, and it was able to kind of give me more insights into the videos that I have posted, the different things that I've put out, what those metrics look like, what the data looks like, it was able to give me a clearer guideline on like what type of content I need to be creating for my target audience. Okay, so obviously these videos are outside of that. I didn't tell it I was going to be doing these. We'll see how that impacts things. But it was eye-opening with that as well, because I was learning so much about what were people really interested in, what were people really finding value from. And so I want to create more of that, right? Because I'm here to make a contribution to help people. I'm not here to just, talk to myself and talk about myself and, whatever else, you know what I mean? So understanding that was really helpful. And then getting that validation from a program that has access to like all the information out there to say like, yeah, I agree with this. I think you should do that, because the images. It was so cute too. Like, it was funny. It was like they were beautiful and ethereal and very special, you know, and like they should attract the right people. And I was like, exactly, right? And so it was just so interesting to me to hear this and to be validated in what my own inner guidance was telling me. So now from this point, I'm pivoting, right? I'm going to make a pivot. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to create the thumbnails, which is so easy for me to do. I love doing it. It's like art therapy for me. And I'll literally in the evenings when I'm relaxing before bed, I'll, you know, be watching something on Netflix or something. And then as I'm watching it, I'm like on my phone in Canva, like making graphics, like making the banners, like thumbnails, right? For these videos. And I just create them and then I'll have them for when I have a video that's like, oh, this one looks perfect for that video. And I just trust that what's coming through for me to create is what's going to be what is needed, right? And it is going to be. And so that is going to make things more fun, right? For me, it's going to make things more fun for the experience and for the process. So there's going to be this shift from this moment on my channel from the thumbnails and then making sure that I'm creating more content that is what the metrics have said the audience wants. And so from there, I asked it to give me a content schedule for 14 days. I said, based on all of this data, based on all of this information, please create a content strategy for me for the next 14 days, including long form and short form videos, the title of the video, the description and key points of what the audience is looking for in those types of videos, hashtags for the video. What else did I think that was it. I think that that's all I asked it for. Oh yeah, and a mild description of what a good thumbnail would be. Okay, so it was giving me ideas for one, like this one would be good to have a lit path of, you know, whatever, and then have this one with golden hues and this, you know, so it was giving me some ideas of what would be a good visual image for that specific video. So I'm actually really looking forward to making that pivot and becoming very intentional with the content and having the thumbnails that match and really putting out those visuals that I feel are going to connect with the type of women that I'm going to not only feel very lit up to work with, but that are really genuinely seeking a mentor like me, someone who can support them in a holistic way to create and cultivate a business that they love while also helping support them through the mindset work and the little, you know, bumps in the road that come up when it comes to our imposter syndrome issues and our worth and things like that. So I'm kind of excited about it. So I wanted to just give you all a brief update. This was not very brief, but I wanted to give you all an update. I got on my soapbox a little bit for those that wanted to follow along or that come across this later at some point so that you can see the journey. I'm putting it all in a playlist as well. So it's easy to find all the videos and keep track of it. Because if it works, I want this out there, right? I mean, how cool would it be for someone to come across this video 6 months from now and see that I have over 100,000 followers? Be like, oh my gosh, like this worked. And so if they can learn something from what I did, I love that. Like I genuinely hope that I start seeing posts in my comments that people are implementing this in a few weeks and it's working for them and things are growing. Oh my gosh, that would just like make my soul soar. I would love that. Okay, so if that is your experience, please do share and also do make sure to subscribe because then you'll get the alerts and all that stuff if you hit the alert bell so you can follow along with my process and progress. All right, so I will see you all on the next video. Thanks for being here.